Welcome, this is Cambridge IGCSE 0625 Physics Paper 21 of May-June 2020. Multiple choice questions. So let us try to solve the question. So first question, a pendulum makes 50 complete swings in 2 minutes 40 seconds. So, and what is the time period? For finding the time period, I am going to find it out the frequency. So frequency is now 50 divided by total time. 2 minutes 40 seconds. 2 minutes is nothing but what? 120 seconds plus 40, which is how much? 160. So 50 upon 160, which is 0.3125. Now I want time period, which is 1 upon frequency. So 1 upon 0.3125, which is going to be nothing but how much? 3.2 seconds. So therefore, which is the option? Option B is going to be the correct option. Now coming to the second question. A student investigates the motion of a ball rolling down a slope. The diagram shows the speed of the v of the ball at different times. Which statement is correct? The acceleration is not constant. The acceleration is negative. The speed is decreasing. The velocity is constant. So what am I going to do with that? I am going to find it out the acceleration in each of the case. So acceleration formula is nothing but what? V minus u upon t. So over here, so final velocity minus initial velocity upon time. So I'm going to find the acceleration over here. So it becomes 2.8 minus 0 divided by 0.2, which is 14 centimeter per second square. Then I'll be finding it out the acceleration at the other part over here. So 5.1 minus 2.8 divided by again 0.2. So which gives 11.5 centimeter per second square. We can see that acceleration is not constant. So therefore, I am going to use it on the first option A. Then coming to the question number 3. Which statement about acceleration is correct? It is related to the changing speed of an object. It is the distance an object travels in 1 second. It is a force acting on an object divided by the distance it travels in 1 second. Or it is a force acting on an object when it is near to the earth. So what is happening over here? So just now we learned that acceleration was v minus u upon t. So it is nothing but what? Change in the speed with respect to time. So therefore option A is going to be the correct option. It is not the distance and it is not the force. Acceleration is not a force. And again here also the acceleration is not a force. That is the reason third and fourth options are also rejected. Question number 4. Which statement currently describes the effects of placing a heavy load on a car? So we know that force equals to ma. Force equals to ma. So A equals to nothing but what? Force upon mass. Now, so when we go to the first option, it is easier to accelerate a car and easier to bring the car to rest. So a heavy load in the car. So see, therefore, if the load is increasing, so the mass is keeping on increasing. Therefore, what do we have to do it out? If the mass is increasing, obviously the acceleration also will change. So if at all we are increasing the mass, we can see that it is more difficult to accelerate the car and more difficult to, bring it to rest. That is question number 4. Coming to question number 5. A mass of 6 kgs on the surface of the planet. On this planet, G equals to 20 Newton per kg. What is the weight of this object? So we know that W equals to mg. So m is nothing but almost 6 and G is how much? 20. So it's going to be 120 newtons, which is option D. Question number 6. The mass of a measuring cylinder is 190 grams. 400 centimeter cube of the liquid is put in the measuring cylinder. The total mass of the measuring cylinder is 560 grams. 4 solid objects are lowered in turn into the liquid. The densities are shown. Which object will float? So first of all, I am going to calculate the density of the liquid. So for that, what am I going to do that? Density. Density equals to mass upon volume. So the mass is nothing but how much? Initially it was 190, then it became 560. So 560 minus 190 divided by what is the volume of the liquid? 400. So what does that become? 0.925 grams per centimeter cube. Now the volume of the density of the liquid is 0.925. Now what am I going to do that? I am going to compare that one with the densities of the four solid objects. So the densities of the objects should be compulsorily lesser than that one of the density of the liquid. So what are the options which are lesser than? 1 and 2 are the lesser than 0.925, whereas 3 and 4 are more than 0.925. So therefore, which one will be floating? The one which is having less density than that of the density of the liquid. So therefore, option B, which is 1 and 2. Question number 7. The diagram shows a wooden beam PQ of negligible weight which is attached to a wall by a hinge at P and kept horizontal by a vertical rope attached at Q. The beam is 3 meters in length. The man of weight 800 newtons walks along the rope P to Q. What is the distance of the man from P when the tension of the rope Q becomes equals to 500 newtons? So we have to see that clockwise movement should be equals to anti-clockwise movement. Clockwise movement should be equals same as anti-clockwise movement. So what is the weight of a man? The weight of the man is 800 newtons. It is acting downwards. And obviously the pivot is over here. So it will be moving it out in clockwise direction. So 800 times the distance should be equals to anti-clockwise. So Q becomes how much? 500. So what is the force over here? 500 is the force. And what should be the distance? The distance is nothing but what? 3 meters. So 500 times 3 because it goes in anti-clockwise direction. So the distance is D. So what am I going to do it at? D equals to 1500 divided by 800, which is going to be 1.9 meters. That's going to be the answer. Question number 8. Which quantity is a vector quantity? Obviously, acceleration is a vector quantity, distance is there is no direction at all, so it is a scalar, speed is a scalar, and mass is also a scalar. So scalar will be having only a magnitude, no direction. Vector will have both magnitude and direction. So acceleration will have both magnitude and direction. That's why that's going to be a vector quantity. Question number 9. An object of mass 1.2 kg is moving with a velocity of 2 meters per second. When it is acted by a force of 4 newtons, the velocity of the object increases to 5 meters per second. For what time period of time does the force act on the object? So we know that force equals to ma. So force is 4, mass is 1.2, acceleration is, we have just done it out, v minus u upon t. V minus u upon t. So v is 5 minus 2 upon time t. We have to calculate. So 4 equals to 1.2 times 3 upon t. So what does that becomes? T equals to 4 divided by 1.2 times 3. So or else rather than 4 divided by, we will bring it out over here. 1.2 times 3 is 3.6 divided by 4, which is nothing but what? 0.9 seconds. So which is the option? Option A. Question number 10. The diagram shows a part of a roller coaster ride with a car at different positions. The car runs freely from position X to position Y and up the hill on the other side. What happens to the kinetic energy and the gravitational potential energy as it moves from X to Y? So what is happening to the kinetic energy and the potential energy as it is moving from X to Y? So kinetic energy, because it is moving down the slope, its speed increases. If speed increases means the kinetic energy increases. So it has to be either option C or option D. As it goes down the slope, the speed increases. Now it is losing height. Speed increases, therefore kinetic energy increases. But it is losing height. If it is losing height means height is decreasing. Height is decreasing means nothing but what? Potential energy decreases. So which option is the correct option? Option C is going to be the correct option. So that's question number 10. Now come to question number 11. Which energy resource does not have sun as the original source. So sun as the original source, coal is because of, again, has the original source as sun. Then hydroelectric is also because of sun. Wind is also affected because of sun. Only geothermal is not affected because of sun. The diagram shows a solid block resting on the bench. The dimensions are shown on which labeled surface should be the block rest to produce smallest pressure on the bench. So therefore, first of all, we'll be finding the area, because we know that pressure equals to force upon area. It depends upon area. Area of this part is 40 times 20, 800. Area of this face is 40 times 80, which is 3200. And area of the this bench, any another one we have over here, 20 and 80. 20 and 80, another face, which will be 1600 centimeters square. So we have three faces. One is nothing but what? 40 times 20, which is 800 centimeters square. We have 40 times 80, which is 3200, and 20 times 80, which is 1600. So which is a we want what we want it out. We want the smallest pressure. Smallest pressure means maximum area. Which is the maximum area? 3200 is going to be the maximum area. So which is nothing but what? P. So answer is P is going to be the answer. The pressure due to the liquid of an object immersed in that liquid is 4500 pascals. The density is given. What is the depth of the object below the surface of the liquid? So pressure equals to nothing but what? Rho g h. So pressure is 4500. Rho is nothing but what? 900. And g is 10. Height we don't know. From there we calculate the height. 4500 divided by 9000, which is 0.5 meters, which is nothing but what? 50 centimeters. So option C is going to be the answer. Question number 14. A gas is heated in a sealed container. The volume of the container does not change. What happens to the molecules of the gas? So what is happening is the volume is not changing. The volume is not changing means whenever it is heated, we are giving more kinetic energy. The kinetic energy increases because it is keeps on getting higher energy, so they start moving more randomly. So they hit the walls of the container, but the container is not expanding. So they are all supposed to be there inside the container itself only. So therefore their kinetic energy will be keeping on increasing. So which is option B. Question number 15. Water in a beaker evaporates when left on the bench for a period of time. Which three factors all affect the rate of evaporation? So evaporation, we know that it occurs at all the temperatures. Therefore, temperature will affect, and the wind speed, because evaporating molecules can be taken away faster if at all there is a greater wind speeds and a greater surface area. If at all there is a greater surface area, obviously there will be ease of evaporation will be more, because wind can have its effect on a greater surface area. So therefore option A. Question number 16. A solid is heated causing it to expand. What effect does it have on its mass and density? So mass will never change, so it has to be constant. So option A and B are wrong. And what will happen to the density? So what is happening to the density? The volume will be increasing. So volume is increasing means nothing but what? Density will be decreasing, because we know that density equals to mass upon volume. If volume increases, so density will be decreasing. So therefore option C is going to be the correct answer. Question number 17. The diagram shows four blocks of steel. The blocks are all drawn to the same scale. The same quantity of thermal energy is given to the block. Which block shows the greatest rise in the temperature? So as they are all of same material, so they will be having the same thermal capacity. But now what is happening is block A has a smaller area. So therefore maximum what is this temperature can be taken over there by this one, and the maximum energy is received by the molecules of this block A, whereas in block B, C and D, in order to pass that heat energy, it will take time when compared to the block A, so because of the smaller area. So therefore option A. Question number 18. Why are metals better thermal conductors than Solids because of the free electrons. That is the obvious answer. Metals contain free electrons which will help the transfer of energy. Energy is transferred because of free electrons. Now question number 19. Two freezers X and Y are identical except that one has a door opening at the front and the other at the door at the top. Both doors are at the same side and are opened at the same time. Which freezer gains the least amount of thermal energy and why? So we say it as Y. Why we does it say it as Y? Because what we know that cold air will be always falling down and warm air will not fall down, whereas cold air will be always falling down. So therefore, what is it? The freezer will be gaining least amount of thermal energy in this time because the door is on the top. The cold air will try to fall down. Every time it will be remaining down. Over here, already the door is over here. The cold air will try to remain down. When we open the door, automatically the cold air will rush out. Whereas over here, the cold air will remain down and it is almost all getting trapped. There is no way the cold air can go out because warm air will be at the top. So therefore option C. Question number 20. A wave of frequency 6600 Hz travels 1320 meters in 4 seconds. What is the wavelength? V equals to F lambda. So velocity is 1320 divided by 4. Distance divided by time is velocity. Frequency is nothing but what? 6600 and lambda we don't know. From here we get lambda value as 0.05 meters. So option A. Question number 21. The diagram shows a wave. It is showing a wave over there. What are the amplitude and the wavelength of this wave? So we have to calculate the amplitude and wavelength for this wave. So amplitude is nothing but what? What is the definition of amplitude? The maximum displacement from the mean position is going to be called as the amplitude. So the mean displacement is over here is 3. So answer has to be either A or B. And the wavelength, distance between two successive crests is going to be wavelength, which is 8. So option B is going to be the answer. Question number 22. Which statement is correct? The speed of the light in a glass is equal to speed of the light in vacuum multiplied by the refractive index. So we know that N equals to C upon V. So V equals to C upon N. It is not multiplied by refractive index, rather than it is divided by refractive index. The incident angle of a light ray at an air glass surface is the angle between the ray and the glass surface. It is not between the ray and the glass surface, it is between the ray and the normal to the glass surface. So therefore, A is wrong, B is wrong. The sine of the critical angle at an air glass is equal to 1 upon the refractive index of the glass. Yes, this is the definition. The angle of refraction for light passing through air glass is proportional to the angle of incidence. No, that is a wrong concept. Now, coming to question number 23. A narrow beam of light, white light, passes through a prism and is dispersed into a spectrum. White light is dispersed into spectrum. So now it is asking what is the colors of this white 1, 2, 3. We know VIBGR. So obviously when we follow it out in this way, the frequency decreases. So by that we can see that frequency decreases. The one with the highest frequency will be deviating more. So this has to be blue. Then the next one is nothing but what? It has to be yellow, because we are comparing with only red, blue and yellow. So the first one has to be red. So it is obviously option C. An intruder alarm sensor detects that a person is warmer than his surroundings. Which type of electromagnetic wave does the sensor detect? So it is obviously sensor is we can't see the waves. It is an infrared waves, not radio waves. Ultraviolet rays are very dangerous to us. Visible light, because for a burglar, there is no point of having a visible light. It is not a radio waves also. It is a infrared waves. Question number 24. Done. 25. Sound travels through air as a series of compressions and rarefactions. Which statement is correct? Which statement correctly compares compression with a rarefaction? So in a compression, what is happening is there are more particles, so it is denser. Compression is denser, whereas in rarefaction, the particles are spread around, so it is less dense. So in a compression, the density of air is greater than the rarefaction, option C. Coming to question number 26, four nails A, B, C, D are tested to find which makes a permanent magnet. One of the nails is placed against a bar magnet and the number of paper clips which nail can support is recorded. A bar magnet is then removed and the number of paper clips remaining attached to the nail is recorded. Each nail is tested individually. Which nail becomes the stronger magnet? So we will find the ratio. 0, number of bar magnet removed 0, and bar magnet present is 2, 0 upon 2 is 0, whereas over here it is 1 upon 2, which is 0.5. Over here it is 3 upon 4, which is 0.75, and this is 2 upon 5, which is 0.4. So which is having the highest one? To C. So option C is going to be the highest one. Next, question number 27. The circuit shows one method of magnetizing a steel bar. How can the circuit be altered so that it can be used to demagnetize a steel bar? So what am I going to do it at? So to demagnetize. So basically we are giving a DC supply. If we start to give an AC supply and slowly reduce the supply to voltage to 0, we can able to demagnetize it out, because AC current flows in both the direction, positive and negative. So therefore it does not make the, what it says, molecules or the atoms to align. So that is the reason what it says it can demagnetize. But so convert or add, instead of replace DC to AC, and then slowly reduce the voltage to what it says 0. Now question number 28. A student uses a circuit shown to determine the resistance of two identical resistors. The voltmeter reading is 2.2 volts and the ammeter reading is 0.25. What is the resistance of the each resistance? So this is the question from electricity. So what are the things we have been given with? We have been given with the voltage and the current, and we are supposed to find it out the resistance. So we will be using the Ohm's law. V equals to IR formula to calculate the resistance. So V equals to IR, resistance equals to V upon I. So the voltage, now because they are using it on identical resistors, so it will be divided equally, 1.1 and 1.1. So 1.1 divided by current will be same in the series, so it is going to be 0.25. So it is 4.4. That's going to be the answer. Because total voltage is 2.2, it is equally divided into 1.41 volts and 1.1 volts, and the current is going to be same in the series. It is 0.25. So 1.1 divided by 0.25, which is 4.4. Now coming to question number 29. An electric fire is connected to 240 volt supply and transfers the energy at a rate of 1 kilowatt. How much of charge passes through the fire in 1 hour? So we know that power equals to Vi. So I equals to nothing but P upon V. So P is nothing but what? 1000 divided by voltage is 240. So the current is 4.17 amperes. Now we know that Q equals to IT. So I is 4.17, time is 1 hour. 1 hour means 3600. So that becomes 15,000. So which is 1.5 times 10 to the power of 4. That's going to be the answer. Question number 30. The diagram shows an incomplete circuit. The temperature and the light levels around the circuit remains unchanged. 4 electrical components are connected in a turn across PQ. The cell is reversed and the 4 electrical components are again connected in turn across PQ. For which component there is a significant change in the magnitude of the current? So because what is happening over here, we are connecting these electrical components in turn across PQ. The cell is reversed and the four electrical components are connected again. So the cell is reversed. So when it is reversed, what is happening is diode does not work. Diode do work it out only in one direction. Whereas the light depending resistor can also work, resistor can also work, and thermistor can also work. They may work less efficient or more efficient, but they still work. Whereas diode will not be working if at all we reverse the change of the battery connection or the cell connection. That is the reason it should be a diode. Question number 31. In the circuit shown, A1 and A2 are ammeters. Switch S is closed. Which row is correct? So we are supposed to find it out which of the row is correct in this diagram. And there are two ammeters, A1 and A2. And switch S is closed. So what will happen is when S is closed, what is happening? We are connecting two resistors in parallel. Whenever the resistors is in parallel is connected, the effective resistance decreases. So answer has to be either A or B. Then current. Current is going to be nothing but what? Because resistance decreases, so current has to increase. And obviously, so the option is B is the option. Because resistance is decreasing, but the voltage is the same, so current should be increasing. Question number 32, which is a symbol for OR gate? So OR gate symbol directly option A. 33. A digital circuit consists of two logic gates when the input to the circuit is 1 and 1 and the output is 0. Which combination of the logic gate gives this result? So what are we going to do it at? We will try to draw the outputs for each and every option. So over here 1, 1. So this has to be 0 and this will be giving 1. But I want the output as 0. So over here 1, 1. It continues to be 1 over here. Now this becomes 0 and 0 and 1 again. What do I get it out over here? 1. Now option C. What is that? 1 over here, 1 over here. So obviously I'll be getting it at 1. My output will be opposite, which is 0. So therefore option C. What about option D? 1 over here, 1 over here. So this becomes 0. And 0 and 1 will become again 1. So therefore option D is also wrong. Now question number 34. The diagram shows a wire between the poles of a magnet. The wire is perpendicular to the page. The wire is moved. So perpendicular to the page means downward direction. Now the wire is moved and the current is induced upwards out of the paper. In which direction the wire can be moved? So we need to follow out Fleming's right hand rule. So when we follow the Fleming's right hand rule, we can see that based upon the directly I'm writing it out over here, answer it should be right to left. Follow the Fleming's right hand rule. What does Fleming's right hand rule states? The Fleming's right hand rule states that the first finger or the first finger will give you the field. Then thumb gives you the motion. Central finger gives you the current. Based upon that, the answer is B. Question number 35. A 100% efficient transformer converts 240 volts input voltage to 12 volts output voltage. So input power equals to output power because it is 100%. So input power is nothing but how much? 240 times input current. We don't know. Output is nothing but how much? 12 volts times 0.3. So input current will be equals to 12 times 0.3 divided by 240. So which is nothing but 0.015 amperes, which is option B. Now coming to question number 36. Cables transmit Electrical power from the output of the transformer at a power station to the input of the transformer at a substation. The power at the output of the transformer at the power station is 400 megawatt. Which situation delivers the most power? So we know that power loss power equals to I square R, and power also equals to VI, and resistance is equal to rho L upon A. These are the formulas that we are going to use it out. Now, what is happening? Which situation delivers the most power? The power has to be maximum when the voltage is maximum. Voltage is maximum in C and D. And another way is that the area should be, what is this? Because it is dependent upon the radius. What is this? Resistance should be less. When can be the resistance can be less? When the diameter is large, when the area is more. So therefore, option C is going to be the answer. It should have maximum voltage and less resistance. Less resistance is nothing but what? More area. More area means larger diameter. So therefore, 36, option C. Question number 37. Uranium-235 is a radioactive substance. It undergoes a chain of decays and eventually forms stable isotope lead-207. These two isotopes are represented by this. During this chain of decay, how many protons and how many neutrons are lost from a single nucleus of uranium-235 to form this one? So, for this, the neutrons is nothing but what? 235 minus 92, which is 143. Whereas over here it is nothing but how much? 207 minus 82, which is 125. So 143 minus 125, which is nothing but what? 18. 18 of that has been lost. 18 neutrons have been lost. So which option is having 18 neutrons? So therefore option A is going to be the 18 neutrons, and 92 is becoming 82. So therefore 10 protons. So option A is going to be the answer. Question number 38. A radioactive material has a half-life of 20 days. A sample contains 8 times 10 to the power of 10 atoms. So after 20 days, it becomes 4 times 10 to the power of 10. Then after 40 days, it becomes 2 times 10 to the power of 10. And after 60 days, it becomes 1 times 10 to the power of 10. So therefore option A is going to be the correct answer. But not, hold on, A is not. How many have been decayed? Leftover is 7. So decayed, he's asking decayed. So therefore option D is going to be the correct answer. Question number 39. A thin sheet of paper is placed between the radioactive source and the detector. The count rate falls to a very low reading. For this result, which type of radiation is emitting it out? Because alpha particles. So they are heavy and difficult to move, and they don't have the ionization power, and they don't have piercing power. So therefore, the least one is nothing but what? Alpha particles. So therefore, the answer has to be alpha particles. Question number 40. Alpha, beta, gamma are emitted at a radioactive nuclei when they decay. Which emissions can be deflected by an electric field? Because alpha is double positively charged helium nucleus, beta is a negative one. So therefore they can be affected by a electric plate. Whereas gamma rays have no charge. Gamma rays have no charge. So therefore option B, C, D is wrong. So only option A, alpha and beta. So that completes the paper. See you in the next paper. Bye.